Hello, 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 and welcome to Sugar Hill Art Studio. I'm Amy Murray, and I'm coming in at a little bit of a different time today. It's Friday, but tomorrow starts July. July 1st is tomorrow. And so what that means over here at Sugar Hill is we start a whole new art journal prompt list and challenge. And I wanted to come on and say, hey, and give you guys a little sneak peek at what's going to be happening. I'm super excited about this one. So we have just finished our circle journals. Most of you did a lot of you finished the whole entire circle journal. If you finished, so there's 21, right? We do 21 prompts. So it would be 21 things based off of the prompt list. If you did all 21, tell me. Even if you're watching the replay, tell me if you did all 21. Say, I did all 21. If you didn't, but you did 15, that's awesome. Tell me that you did 15. If you did 7, that's awesome too, because that is 7 moments in your month that you were creative, that you got in, that you let out some creative release. You got messy with your supplies. You practiced your art. You practiced with your supplies. So yeah, let me know. A lot of you finished, and that is awesome. I think a lot of you did not yesterday, Marion, that's awesome. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I think a lot of you really tackled a lot of this, a lot of these prompts. Lots and lots and lots. And I did quite a few. I didn't get all of them completed. I was working on a lot of other things. But we definitely got some fun things happening. If you missed any of the tutorials, it's easy to find over on the tube. All right at Sugar Hill Art Studio. I have a channel over there. You can find replays of everything and how we made this little journal. So here we go with the next prompt list. All right, it hasn't gone out yet. If you belong to my newsletter, it's going to go out this afternoon. You guys will have it a day early, but only if you're on my newsletter. Otherwise, the rest of you will be waiting until it's posted up tomorrow on the actual 1st. But here it is, and I'm so excited because not only do I give you prompts, but I'm challenging you. And this challenge for July is vintage, okay? Vintage. What does vintage mean? Vintage is anything from 20 to 100 years old, right? If it's over 100 years old, then it's an antique. And that is talking, of course, with tangible items, sewing machines, shoes, vintage clothing. So anything more than 100 years, and it's hard for us to keep moving forward, right? Because I'm like, oh, vintage is, but I think my brain is still 30 years ago when I'm thinking vintage. Anyways, anywhere from 100 to 20 years ago, which 20 years ago, let's call it 2000. Okay, so in the 90s, it's vintage. Some people are like, well, what about retro? Retro pretty much is, no, over 100 is antique. Yes, legit antiques, especially in furniture, Jess, and other things. But 100 years old is an antique. It's vintage if it's anywhere in there. And then retro typically refers to, did you just get an old Sears catalog, Marion? That's amazing. Oh, that's so exciting. See, this is why sometimes it's good I can't read comments. Retro typically refers to a replica of something vintage or an antique. Okay, so it's a newly made, like I had a good vintage typewriter, but I couldn't fix it For less than I could buy the retro version of my vintage typewriter. Okay. Now, when I say retro, however, do you know what I think of? I think of the 70s. I think of roller skates and that color scheme, that mustard yellow, that red, that green, right? There's a lot of things. I know. Trust me, I just looked all of this up. I did know that antique was 100. And I think it's just, and you can find a lot of different things, like specifically if you're talking clothing versus if you're talking, furniture, but the general rule, antique, over 100 years old. Yep. So 1923. Which, if you go back to so now what that does when we're thinking about that is you're saying that all Art Deco, okay, the arts and crafts style, that's now antique instead of vintage, right? So, and that's one of my favorite time periods. So Art Deco leaks into that roaring 20s kind of thing. Frank Lloyd Wright, Andrew Lloyd Webber. I mean, we could sing too. Frank Lloyd Wright, his architecture, that mission style furniture, the windows and the stained glass of that time. I love all of that. That's now antique. And no, I'm not going to start singing because then y'all would just leave me because you'd be plugging your ears. Anyways, but so sometimes I think when we hear vintage in art, in the art world, okay, not so much a collector's world, but in the maker world, like we are here, I think that we automatically get the vision of, let's see, I pulled out some things. When we hear vision, we automatically are immediately to coffee stained papers, lace, almost like a shabby chic kind of vintage feel, right? Old buttons, coffee stained papers, could be old receipts and things, right? Old stamps, all those things. And we tend to kind of gear towards that, but it's not just that. It's not just that. It's actually, so in your 21 art prompts, I gave you some ideas of things to consider when you're putting your little journal together, or you might be jumping into another journal that you've done. Little House on the Prairies Victorian. Vintage style, okay? 20 to 100 years old. So it's basically the 20th century, 19 anything. You can go past that. I mean, if you're a Rococo girl, which is that French Victorian age, I do not like that age at all. I remember having to study it in art history, and I was like, oh, this is awful. They're awful people. Anyways, sorry, I digress. You could use actual vintage items, okay? So actual vintage items are the receipts. They are vintage fabric, vintage towels, old lace, old ribbon, things like that. You could use that right on your journal page, okay? Vintage stamps, anything. Just make sure it's older than 20. I love art history, Renee. That was my minor. You can use replica ephemera. Yes, library catalogs, tags, and pockets. There's so many things. Sometimes it's really hard for some of us to get a hold of that. And I don't want you to be frustrated. I want you, if you want to stick to one era, like say you love the 20s and you want your whole journal to do the 20s, and like, so yeah, there's stars and stripes on the list and there's ice cream on the list. If you want to do that all within, like, say one style, the whole list within one style, or you can bounce. You can do different decades because they all have different style. I'm going to show you in a minute. Replica ephemera is very easy to find, right? You can go on Amazon. There's a lot of small businesses that ship through Amazon, and they have, you know, different stickers. So I majored in art. Shelly, I didn't know that. You're the one that recommended that book to me, didn't you? The Christina's World, Andrew Wyeth. I loved that. Thank you for recommending that. I did not know that. These little stickers, little papers, they're stamps. These ephemera packets that you can find very easily, right? If this is the route you want to take this. Grab a pack, use it. Otherwise, I'm going to show you. You can just use these. You see, I don't use these as often. But I like having them in case I want to grab something. The color and style very much is sticking with the vintage, okay? I'm going to show you what I mean. And then you could always replicate a vintage item. So, like, one of my favorite things are the old National Park, no Jordache jeans and unicorn ring. Oh yeah, that's totally vintage. Jordache jeans and unicorn rainbow shirts are totally vintage. And that's what I'm getting to, is sometimes I think that more as retro, but I was wrong, and pretty much retro means a replica or a newer replica. It's like, retro is almost like the admiration of vintage items. So we make it new again. All right, I'll post the link in this thread on this little great article that I found, but I really saved it because I want to show you. She basically links to, hopefully it picks it up, some modern day artists doing like vintage art. Okay, now remember, this is a graphic artist's site. So you're going to see a lot of really fantastic fine detail, because graphic artists, they get in on that computer, they do their thing, and they're amazing. They're amazing. But this, looking through this, looking at different times, looking at ads from the 70s, ads from the 80s and 90s, like 1950 cookbooks, 1960 cookbooks, all of that is art. So pay attention to those. And when you see something on the list, you might be like, ooh, I immediately think that. I think I diverted from my, the National Park posters. I love those. World War II recruitment poster, right? Remember all of those things, Norman Rockwell, all of those things. And you'll start to see the same things. Okay, I'm going to hold my iPad up for you guys, and I'm going to kind of just scroll through, okay? These are artists, modern day artists in a vintage art competition, so to speak. Okay, look at that. Look at the colors. Look at the detail. And I will post the link. Look at that. Total vintage. Right? These aren't to copy. These are for inspiration. The use of minimal color, mix and black line. Huge statement. Where's your eye go first? It goes to the little white smoke rings. Right? That one, this is actually a little movie clip. Look at that. See, notice the font. Okay, very vintage. How sweet. Simple color, form. Look at, isn't that so funny? This is a true mixed media, like 3D piece. Like it's layered with beautiful paper. Simple. Look at that one. Of course, I love this. Total style. This is sweet as can be. There you go. Think Old Mickey, right? This is a Mexican restaurant ad. There's our good old gals, right? Done new style. This one, if you do use the link and go, check this one. The detail is amazing. Completely amazing. All right, super cool. I think retro when I see this, it's vintage, but in my head, I've kind of taught myself that retro is that, you know, kind of fun rainbow, bunch of different colors. Go, sweet. Awesome. Okay, so do you see all the different styles? This one cracks me up. All the different styles to be inspired by. Love that too. I love all of them, really. This one is just very humorous. Okay, total. Yeah. I love that. I love them all. Again, so much detail, so fine, so beautiful. I think I'm getting down to the end. Yeah. So I will post that up for you. It's a link from Graphic Mama. Like I said, those are all graphic artists, but very, very, you're going to be very inspired. That's what I'm trying to say. You'll be super inspired by kind of looking through those. And the biggest reason I opted to show them to you today is because I wanted you to really see, it's not just one style. It's not just coffee stained and lace and you know, it's, yep. Marion, I'll post it, okay? Don't go posting any link. Please, nobody else post links. Only I can post links because that's where I keep it safe for us, okay? I wanted you to see how broad of a range and all of the art to do so that when you're working on the prompts, there's tons of things there. All right, so you could, if you wanted, do another circle journal. You can do a mini if you want. We've made so many journals in here. You could do a mini. You could do another accordion fold. You can just do a bunch of papers and then bind it together, okay? You can, we've done that. This was done in the first of the year, just the good old journal with 11 pages, 22 sides. Works great for this. If you want it all within the same, you can grab any of your other journals you have sitting around. These work, oh goodness, it's tight in there. You know, just a regular Canson mixed media works amazing for these, and it's a good size. So I think with this one, depending on what style you're going for and what you're interested in, might be kind of where you take it as far as size goes, right? So, I mean, totally up to you. I did want to show you really quick. I'll show you super quick, an easy way. Like if you're new here, if you haven't been on, if you're new to, again, the link to get on my newsletter to join if you want the list today and all the other fun things I send out, all the other freebies and goodies, get on the newsletter. Okay. No more than once a week. I do not email every day. I don't like receiving email every day. I'm not going to ever do that to you. But I am going to show you really quick my little bucket here of goodies and how I would put together a really quick journal if I wanted to and didn't have 1,000 other options. Okay? Sound good? You guys want to see that? Oops. Hi, Donna. All right, let me flip you guys. And here's my box of goodies. I'll make sure that we are in good vision. Okay, so I have, this is kind of just all my neutrals. I have some coffee stained papers in here, some bags that I have saved, handmade cotton papers, painted book pages, envelopes, right? Save it all. Be a hoarder. Cotton paper, mixed media, watercolor paper, folded book pages. Sometimes it's really easy if I kind of do this, then I've got some of my painted papers in here. If I do this first, it's very easy for me to grab. Now I have this and I have 3 of them. I have neutrals, I have colors kind of done together. I have some extra bits. So basically, it's so easy, okay? You need 11 pieces in a cover. So this is just a page I had in there and a cover. Now, some of you might be like, your cover has to be thick and it has to be this. Like these, we used Bristol paper, right? And the jelly plate. You could, if you want a little bit thicker. I'm not afraid just to grab a piece of, I don't know where, it's not heavy. You can see it's kind of thin. I think it's going to be just fine. And then I grabbed 11 pieces. And I have been busy making journals. So you will be on the lookout. And this is my really quick version. Like, I'm not even clipping this together. We make a lot of journals over in the Sugar Hill Circle, which is my membership. This is just a very simple way to make one. So I just punch the holes. I have some thread here. I want to tie this one on the outside. So I'm going to come in and go back out. It's real hard here, real hard, right? Go in, come back out, flip it over. Decide that I really don't need that long of a tie. And then I'm going to decide where I'm going to tie it. How simple, right? And you'll see, you might be like, Amy, you've got like 20 different sizes in there. This is just easy, simple, kind of tie it. You want to pull it somewhat taut, but because this is only a 21-day, a month journal, I don't worry about things being too tight or whatnot. And then you can get your paper cutter, all right, and kind of just trim it down. I don't know if I have room for my paper cutter today on here, but we can. I love this old school. It's not really old school. This is retro. This is I wish I had my old one that I had back in the day. Okay, I'm going to kind of base it off the middle. I don't mind when my things are all different sizes. I actually kind of like it. And I'm going to come in. There's a lot, so it's a little fussy. I'm going to leave, I always leave the cover a bit bigger because it needs to fold over everything else. And as we build, there you go. There's a journal, like, right? You can tie it in but you can do whatever you want over on the side. But just like that, I have 21 pages for a prompt, okay? You don't have to do this. They could be all like this. This was all, this is 98-pound watercolor paper. What do we have in here? A printed mixed media page from a jelly plate. This one is thicker. This is 40-pound watercolor paper. 90-pound, okay? Like mixed media paper. It's okay to kind of have things broken up. Now, my intention was to have a prompt list in a journal, but I bounce around too much. It's just my style to bounce around like crazy, so this one kind of got a little abandoned. I think this was January, and that's okay. All right, you could use all the same papers, but I just wanted to show you how easy, just a simple bind, throw some papers together, and then you have something to work in. If you wanted to do something, a quick little journal, okay? Like, so easy, right? So easy. I could, yep. Let's see. I'm going to make one of these next prompts for Charlie, Nebraska. And yes, 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 and yes. And in July, I am going to focus. And one of the things that a lot of you talk about and ask about or comment about is have art will travel. Okay, be on the lookout for that. It's basically, especially with mixed media, it can sometimes seem very overwhelming, but putting together a little pack in a bag, this bag's kind of big. This is a bigger bag. That's basically, this is the one I bring around my house or outside if I want to. But I have a smaller travel bag, and I'm going to go over that in the newsletter. So, you know, you want to be on the watch list for that. Thank you for the stash. Are the videos for the other journals that you have made on the tube? Some are, some I think, all the free ones that I did this year are on the tube. Anything, obviously, anything, there's, I'm working on pulling together and putting on up for sale some of my other journal making, and then my membership has access to all of them on the other end. So you might, in the free group, if you're in free art journaling mixed media with Sugar Hill, okay, over in that group, which nope, I haven't changed the name yet. I did ask you guys. In there, when you go to that group, and in the search bar, you could type in journals, maybe make journals. I don't know exactly what would come up. And then click on just the videos, and you may see some. Some of the videos are disappearing, which is hence why I'm making some other things happen, just so that they're all there. Okay? Oh, that's okay, Marianne. Let's see, what other questions? It is going to be super fun. I'm super excited about the list and the theme, and to see what you guys do. If you're new here, if you haven't been watching, and if you're not over in my free group, I will post the link, and so it'll be at the top of the comments here for you guys. But get on over there, okay? Basically, you have to agree to the group rules for me to let you in. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit. I go through and I read every single person that gets into the group. I'm very protective over my community in there. We have an amazing group of ladies, talent. They're supportive. They're kind. If you're nervous to post your artwork, they make you feel like $1 million. They answer questions. It's a wonderful, wonderful group. So I'm pretty protective over it. I will be there later today to see if I have new requests. It's super fun. There's, I think, 2,000 people in there. It moves pretty good. And we share our journal prompts in there. So there's lots of inspiration. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me on my impromptu live. And if you're on the newsletter, I'm going to send this out really quickly to you. And if you're not, there's a link you can get on, and then you learn all kinds of fun things about what's happening at Sugar Hill. And someone probably in the replay somewhere is going to ask about, thank you, Dottie, going to ask about selling the journals, and they are coming. They are coming. It's between getting the shop up and running and finishing all of the things I want to put in there. It's coming. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Happy July tomorrow. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.